moment you take video footage which is inside your Premiere timeline into After Effects starts to lag like crazy. And I watched a few videos which explained the basics of everything, as in After Effects is not a linear editing or a non-linear editing software. It just takes frames and it puts in like green stuff like this. And after all of that research, the thing that clicked the most to me is, let's say I'm working on this guy right now, Control-Shift-H to see what we've selected, and I'm working on these 3 things. The best friend you have for your dynamic link is solo, because if you were to play the whole thing, like all of these clips at once, it is gonna lag. It's gonna lag a lot, like to the point that I have hit spacebar but things are not moving at all and some errors are gonna come up. So what you want to do is you want to come in here and solo only the things that you want to work with, and then it will work just fine, because this is as good as you asking After Effects to just play a single clip on its timeline, which it can easily do, especially on my system, which is pretty good. If anyone is familiar with how to do this kind of complex process right inside DaVinci, please let me know. I would be very glad to know. To be honest, you're just used to Adobe and you miss the muscle memory. There are ways to keep track and manage everything. But this is true. I'm not saying that this is false. In fact, I think I have myself pointed this out in a few videos, that there is possibly a way to do the same things that I'm wanting to do inside, like I do it inside Premiere and After Effects. But it's not just muscle memory in the sense that, oh, I've learned the software and now I know how to use it, that kind of muscle memory. The fact of the matter is that I have not just used Premiere and After Effects, I have lived Premiere and After Effects and that workflow between these softwares for the past 4 or 5 years now. So it is deeply ingrained in me. 𝘵𝘵𝘶𝘭𝘺, good morning, welcome back to inthekhud. Having said that, in this video I am documenting an edit I made on Friday, which was a pure dynamic link edit. It appeared to me that although Adobe Dynamic Link is garbage and it doesn't work most of the time, I've been way too scared of it that I haven't experimented with things enough to the point that I can say it doesn't work at all. So that's what I am documenting in this video. Let me quickly open Premiere and After Effects both, and I will show you my workflow. You see, this is part of what I want to discuss. So it is 1.3, which is the final one. And I'm going to show all these other sequences to you as well.
Luxurious, elegant and interesting.
Fun, exciting, glamorous.
Thoughtful, personalized, artistic.
Lifestyle, extravaganza, charming.
Stylish, aesthetic and customized.
Passion, hard work, one love.
Memorable, cherished, and generous.
Inspiring, appreciated, and beloved.
Innovative, customized, and premium.
Thoughtful, creative, and personal.
It's premium, classy, and elegant.
Energetic, vibrant and good vibes.
Thoughtful, growing, successful.
Premium, passion, all heart.
Creative, fun, and drama.
Okay, so this is the entire video. Now the idea of the video is there was a bank of videos that was given to me. The employees of this brand who are talking about 3 things in 3 words in which they can describe. It was like an anniversary kind of thing. So I had a bunch of videos to work with and I had 2 slates. So this was an initial which was given to me by the designer. In fact, this was not really the slate, I have completely changed it up, but a design of this sort and a design of this sort. So one standard way would be that I could just compile the videos one after the other and put the text on screen and call it a day, which would work pretty much. It was not expected for me to do it in this manner, but I wanted to do it in a little, it just clicked to me that I could probably flex or at least use my dynamic link muscles here and see if I can have complete control over these videos inside of After Effects, but doing the edit of the videos inside Premiere. So this is how I went about doing it. So you see here sequences, there are these different sequences. We were looking at the main sequence, this 1.3. So what was 1, 1.1, 1.2? Sequence 1 was where I just did a cut. So I basically went through the bank and I thought that, yeah, this is a clip I can use. I wanted to transition into the dynamic link part. So I would actually change the end frame here as well to something else. But then I took this in Photoshop, separated the subjects out, and then I took them down so that behind things could happen. From here to here, like this level of continuity is what I wanted to have, which is why I did it that way. So this is like the edit, because people don't say 3 words just like that, they say a lot of other things which are not needed. So that this sequence was just putting the edit together. And this was also important because towards the end there was this other employee which they wanted to add, and so I had like a place to go back to my initial putting things together sequence. This is like putting things together, just very rough. Then sequence 1.1 is the same sequence duplicated, but here what I have done is I have taken those clips and I have nested them. So these are nested compositions now. Instead of 3 different clips, they have one single clip. And do they have, yeah, at some point I added color correction to these, and what I did is, interestingly, I haven't added color correction on the clips. So you see here there are clips. You can add color colorimetry over here to the clips, but what I did is I added it to the source. So once you add it to the source, all of the cuts of that particular clip will have that color correction on it, which is nice. Then was 1.2. What was different 1.2? I just simply right click here and made a linked composition. So with this nest, I said right click, replace with After Effects composition. Now this is one thing where I want to talk about After Effects organization. So you see here I have sequences, I have audio sequences, I have main sequences where I have put these, and I have nested sequences. So when I nested these came in here, right? This organization is very important because your project will start looking very messy very soon. Now once you right click here and say replace with After Effects composition, I'm going to actually show one of these. So let me take this one and say right click, replace with After Effects composition. What happens is you get 3 things in your After Effects project. You get 12, I don't know what that is. You get the original video and you get this TGS turning 3 linked comp 16. This is what is important, right? TGS turning 3 linked comp 16, because this composition is going to have your nested clips together. If you open this 12, this is going to have your individual clips which you did. Like if you want, you can actually come in and change those as well, but because we're doing the edit inside Premiere, there's no point of doing that. And that will be the original video that comes in. So what I did is for all of these, if you see here comp, I have video 1 and I have nested sequences. So I made a new folder for all of these, and like I kept doing that. The moment I was doing a right click to replace with After Effects composition, I was adding these 3 elements here into a separate folder. So I had that level of sanity when it came to organization. And then in my main timeline, this is something again I took into that one single frame into Photoshop, brought them here, added a bit of like wiggle and like a collage kind of thing. From here, what it is, I retained the background from the original design slate, and this is where the entire magic happened. So I came into this composition called clips, and over here all these comps that you see are these final comps, TGS turning 3 linked com 01. I placed all of these comps like this, and if I control K and multiply the width, I think there are 10 clips by 10, so I have to multiply it by 10 again. So what I did is all those compositions, I placed them the same distance apart. So this was a bit of a manual work where I brought in the composition. I enabled time remap on all of these. So if I can select label group and click here and select label group, and I do a U, you will see the time remap is in such a way that it goes from where it is supposed to go to where it has to go, but one frame before that, and I hold that as a hold keyframe, and then I extend the start of the composition and the end of the composition this way. So what happens is it's like a complete grid, and all of it is moving with this null layer called move. So the X position of the null layer moves like this, and what this does is it creates this kind of a system where the next frame is waiting to come on screen while the previous frame is still playing. Pretty basic stuff, but what I realized is that I need a script for a lot of these things. Like for example, a script where I can just select these compositions and hit a button, and all of this stuff of looping the composition and enabling time remap and separating them out in space like this in the X position can happen by itself. That's one thing, because this grid kind of thing is a very, very common video format to be happening. So that is one thing, and I added text on top of it, which is very like a random layman kind of thing. Anyway, that was that, and I added a little bit of blur with a Luma matte so that the things which are not in frame are blurred. Now, one important thing that I learned while working in this project, and which is one of the reasons why I curse Adobe Dynamic Link so much, is that the moment you take video footage which is inside your Premiere timeline into After Effects starts to lag like crazy. and I watched a few videos which explained the basics of everything, as in After Effects is not a linear editing or a non-linear editing software. It just takes frames and it puts in like green stuff like this. And after all of that research, the thing that clicked the most to me is, let's say I'm working on this guy right now, Control-Shift-H to see what we've selected, and I'm working on these three things. The best friend you have for your dynamic link is solo, because if you were to play the whole thing, like all of these clips at once, it is gonna lag. It's gonna lag a lot, like to the point that I have hit spacebar but things are not moving at all and some errors are gonna come up. So what you want to do is you want to come in here and solo only the things that you want to work with, and then it will work just fine, because this is as good as you asking After Effects to just play a single clip on its timeline, which it can easily do, especially on my system, which is pretty good. And towards the end again there is the other thing which comes up, the other slate which comes up. So all in all, this was not, so we went from 1.1 to 1.2 where we've sent these to After Effects, and then 1.3 is where we took this main video, this main composition, I brought this in to Premiere using your dynamic link, so it made like a sense. So my final sequence that I'm working with doesn't really have a lot of things except for the logo layer, the initial video clip, and the After Effects final comp where everything was happening. Now it's not the most dynamic or the best edit in the world, but this is very important for me, in fact, to document, is because doing it this way, even though it is cumbersome and that's a whole process, especially with organization and everything, it puts me in such a position now that all these clips which are on my timeline, which have been nested in the particular way that I want, I have complete control over whatever it is that I want to do with these clips inside of After Effects. Like I want to add matte transitions, I want to make this 3D, I can come in here. There's also a process that I'll have to come in here and make these clips also 3D, but once that is done, actually even these I'll have to make 3D, but once that is done, you can come in here and do whatever you want in 3D space, like the world is your oyster, whatever you want to do. And let's say you want to also do some rotoscoping or motion tracking, you have everything built in. So the ability to do all of this is now open, because you spend so much time bridging things correctly from Premiere to After Effects. So it's about following the right steps to get to the bridge, and then once you've even gotten the bridge, beyond that, soloing your layers is going to be your best friend to achieve something like this in After Effects. And this level of flexibility is why I spent so much time on this. And then 1.3 I showed. So I basically covered whatever it was that I wanted to cover in this video, in this documentation. Now coming back to the problem of DaVinci, right? For work, I can definitely not rely on it, because half of the times I don't understand like this. So the reason I was such a big fan of DaVinci in the first place is this entire process that I told you, like Premiere and then do all of this thing, get into After Effects and then back to Premiere. It sounds like you can do the exact thing right inside DaVinci, where you are editing your clips, you right click, create a Fusion clip out of it, take it into Fusion, do your After Effects kind of things inside Fusion, then come back to your edit page and then you're good to go. But that, even though I've been trying for a long time, that seems like a far-fetched dream for me. If anyone is familiar with how to do this kind of complex process right inside DaVinci, please let me know. I would be very glad to know. But as of now, I have no clue. Like most of the time I'm confused, and what that does is it creates delay in my submissions, which I cannot afford to. So for work, definitely I'm sticking to Premiere. After Effects, dynamic link doesn't seem so bad. What I want to do primarily is I want to make a script which will live right underneath my folders panel. It'll have three options. It'll have one folder button, which will just create your general folders that I want. Then there'll be one folder button with some files in it, and what that will do is clicking, and there'll be like a text box beside it. When you type something in the text box and click on that button, what it will do is it will make a new folder with the name that you put in the text box, and it will take, like when you do your right click with After Effects composition, it will come in like this. So it will take the selected things in this, put it in that new folder which has been created. So the entire process of manually adding it inside folders will get cut, as far as I can see, and that should help and like make the process a lot simpler. So that is what I'm trying to do now, and for DaVinci we will see where we can go with things. As of now, I'm very I don't know, we'll see. So thanks so much for being in the code. I will catch you tomorrow.